Morning, Mr. Bitesh. Okay. We are on Chaf Aleph and Aleph. Soon, before you know it, we're going to get up to tattoos, the prohibition of tattoos, which is also next to the prohibition of. It's right next to the prohibition of making a scrape on one's body that we've been talking about. Hi, Mr. Bitesh. We're at 21A. 21A, we are on A2. The Eina Chayav Ela Ashet Lena Betar. Where the verse says the prohibition 21A2. 21A2, where the Gemara says the Eina Chayav Ela Ashet Lena Betar. Unless you take it off the page. You're only violating if the violation of this prohibition of using a razor, if you have shaving the beard, is only if it's shaved with a razor. So that's what the Gemara says. And now the Gemara makes comment on this halacha. What did you say, Mr. Safdie? No. This is not going on the hurting themselves. This is going back. This is back on the Mishnah when the peyot, the corners of the beard. So the Gemara, the Mishnah stated a machloket. The prohibition of the corners of a beard, does that apply only if you use a razor, or if you would use some other instruments like if you use a tweezer or some other instruments we'll discuss as time goes along. So comes the Gemara, Taner Rabbanan. Now, the Gemara now, this Breita is going to explain the source for this law of the Tanakama, that the prohibition of shaving off the corners of the beard is only if you use a razor, not if you go ahead and use a scissor and you cut off the corner of your beard with a scissor, you will not be in violation of this prohibition. Taner Rabbanan. Pas the kanam lo yigalechu. The pasuk says the corners of the beard, they're not allowed to shave. That's the pasuk. There's a pasuk in the Torah talking by the Kohanim, but it's not only referring to Kohanim, as we know, it refers to both by Kohanim and Yisrael, that they're not allowed the corner of the beard, they can't shave. As we said, where are the corners of the beard? The Mishnah identified there are 5 corners of the beard, right? Exactly where those 5 corners are located is a matter of dispute. Therefore, we don't use a razor on any part of our face, or any part of our beard. So the language of this pasuk, which says you're not allowed to shave, so I might think if you shave with a scissor, where a scissor doesn't really go down to the root of the hair because it has the scissor is covered, right? And the reason, because scissor is cutting more in the Tanel, because scissor cuts the hair, it doesn't go flush with the skin, and therefore it's not so to speak the clean cut, that smooth cut, because it's not against the skin. So you might think, since the Torah says you come in Natanel, is a very good spot, Natanel, on 21A to 21A Chaf Alf Manav 2, and it's on the bottom of the first column. So we're trying to explain this prohibition of cutting the peyot, the corners of your beard. What is the case? that the Torah prohibits the cutting of the corner of the beard. So the first opinion of the Mishnah says it needs to be a razor. If it's not a razor, it will not be in violation. And the Gemara wants to understand how does he know that? Where is the source? So comes the Braita and says, Tana Rabbanan. You have it in Tana Rabbanan 21a2. Tana Rabbanan, Pas the Konam Le'Yigalechu, says you can't shave the corner of your beard. Yochel, I feel like Yochel Misparayim. I might think if you shaved it with scissors, you would be Yehechayav, you would be obligated lashes. And count 5 sets of lashes that we spoke about yesterday, right? That the halacha goes, you could be obligated 5 sets of lashes, right? Talmud Loma, because there are 5 corners. Talmud Loma lo sashchit. The pasuk says there's another pasuk in the Torah when it refers to the corner of the beard. It says the idea of lo sashchit. You can't destroy. So there the pasuk says it's not just about shaving is the problem. It's the destruction of the hair that's happening by going all the way down to the root. So lo sashchis, and since the scissors don't reach the root, so therefore there's no prohibition of using a scissor. And even though these 2 psukim are written, one's by these 2 psukim, one's by the Kohanim, one's by the Israel. But we learn in Gzeira Shava, it says the word peah, says pa'at in this pasuk, and also the other pasuk also says pa'at. So the fact that the pasuk is telling us the same word by both are telling us that the law that's found over here applies here, the law that's found here applies here. It's a two-way street, and therefore both laws come together. The law of the destruction of the beard and also the shaving of the beard. So now the Gemara explains, okay, if you have this pasuk that says you can't destroy, lo sashchit, ilo sashchit, if you have this pasuk that you can't destroy, yachol im lekato b'malke. If you took the hair off with a tweezer, if you pluck the hair with a tweezer, you might think that there should be a problem. So the tweezer pulls it all the way out from the root. Since the Torah says, good morning, Mark.
Good morning.
Since the Torah says you can't destroy the corner of the beard, so you might think anything that destroys the corner of the beard would fulfill this qualification of the prohibition. So a razor that goes down to the root, taking a tweezer will pull it out from the root. If you use some sort of other sharp instrument, let's say they call a plane that they smooth out wood with, that goes flush against you might think that also should be a prohibition. That should also be, you might think it's prohibited just like the razor, because they both are ruining, they go down to the root. So the Gemara says, or over Hatini is that plane, that utensil that's used to smooth out the wood. So you might think if you use that on your face, you would be Yechayav. So Talmud Loma lo yigalechu. So the Gemara says, the pasuk says lo yigalechu. The pasuk says that you cannot shave something that's, and the Gemara, shaving means something that's normal to shave with. What's called shaving? You don't shave, generally, this opinion is saying you don't shave with a tweezer. You don't shave with this utensil that's made to smooth out wood. That's a utensil that's made for wood. It's not made for shaving a beard. It's not made for using on the face. So that's not, the Torah is talking about something which is usual to shave with. And therefore, you will not be chayav if you go ahead and you use a tweezer to pluck out hair, or if you go ahead and you use this plain instrument against your beard, because that's not That's not a shaving instrument. It's not used to shave one's. Rashi, the Rivon says it's not the derech. It's not the way to shave with these types of instruments. And the Torah is talking about removing the corners of your beard with two qualifications. The Torah says have to be met. Number one, it has to be destroying it. So therefore, a scissor is not destroying. It does not go all the way down to the root because of the blade. Does not. It's not a blade against the. It's the size of the scissor, and that creates like a little separation. It doesn't go all the way to the flush against the skin. So therefore, a scissor is excluded, which is like our shaver. It's like that we have the screen in front of the shaver that serves like and it cuts, and the way it cuts is more like a scissor, the shave, and therefore that wouldn't be part of the prohibition. And also even something that destroys, which would be something that goes against the skin or pulls out like that instrument that's used to smooth out the wood, or a tweezer, but that's not the way that people shave. That's not the way that people remove hair. When you want to get a shave and you want to cut your beard, that's not the way you would take a shave. So that's the opinion of the Tanakama. So Haketzad, the Gemara says, so what's the case that the Torah is prohibiting? Giluach sheyesh bo hashchata. It's a giluach, it's a shave that has destruction. Havi Omer, what is the thing that the Torah forbids? Zeta. The Torah is forbidding a razor. That's the prohibition of the Torah. But if it's something that's a shave, cutting with the scissors, similar to a razor, but it's not, because it doesn't go all the way down. So that's called a permitted shave. That's what the Gemara is saying. Is that clear, everybody? So according to this opinion, if it's not the norm to shave with that instrument, you take some sort of instrument that's not used for shaving, it would not be a problem, right? If some sort of other instrument that people it's not used for shaving. This is what this opinion, let's say the planes, right? If you see what they translate a plane, right? Here in 20A, no 26. See, they say that a plane is used, tools that are used for smoothing, leveling of wood. That's how some translate it. Others say that both items that the Gemara is talking about are types of tweezers. They're not this thing that's used to smooth wood. The Gemara did not give that case. Could be that he would hold that would be a problem, using such a thing that, if it smooths wood, that means that it actually itself is sharp, has a sharpness to it. The question here in the Gemara, when the Gemara identifies two types of tools, malkate and retine. So there are questions, what's the identification of these tools? They both destroy, but if you take a tweezer, it takes out you pull out the hair from the root, but that's not the way person generally will shave. That's not the way of shaving. If you want to shave your beard, you want to do what's called a shave. That's not a shave. You did something which is, what it's like in a certain say. If the Torah is forbidding a shave, you're not, you plucked out a hair. That's not the way person does it. It's not what the Torah is talking about. Maybe you might not get that punishment. What? Right, because the Torah is forbidding specifically a shave. The way Rivon is saying, what is the way a person you want to go ahead and do a shave. A shave would mean that you want to cut your beard in the normal way that people cut a beard. Plucking out of here, people use a tweezer. You want to use a tweezer. Maybe a person has something, we say that maybe women will use a tweezer to pluck out of white hair among black hairs, right? Or that's the way a tweezer is used. A tweezer is not, you go into the drugstore, I want to get a shave. You want to say, okay, I'll buy a tweezer for a shave. That's what you use for a shave. But that's not the way people shave. But since it's not the way people shave, that's not what the Torah is. The Torah is not forbidding that type of instrument on your beard. The Torah is very specific. I don't want you to shave off your corner of your beard. Taking a tweezer and pulling out hairs, that's not a shave. That's not the way people cut their beard. What do you say, Mr. Abraham? That right, Mr. Saf, do you hear that? It's not the way you cut your beard. You deciding today
Isn't it a problem of being like a woman though? I know women don't have a beard, but women will pull it out of their head because of vanity, right? To look young or vanity. So if I pull it out of my beard, a white hair to look younger, is that acting like a woman?
Right, that would be right. Correct. That's what we had in the Gemara. That if a man is not allowed to pull out a white hair among black hairs, and that should apply both in the beard and the head, because you're acting like a woman. But let's say you want to pull out your black hairs from your black hairs. You have no white hairs, and you want to use a tweezer to just pull out your hairs of your beard. So that's not that's not called a shave. That's not a shave. So therefore, good morning, Jaime. Therefore, since that's not a shave, that's not what the Torah is forbidding. So we just to bring everybody up to date. We just had the first opinion of the Gemara that the Torah, when the Torah forbids ruining the corners of your beard, the Torah is saying two conditions have to be met. Torah says the word, you're not allowed to shave the corners of your beard. And Torah says you're not allowed to destroy the corners of your beard. So what's called shaving? What's called destroying? Using a razor. Morning, Simon. A razor that goes against the corner of your beard, that destroys. And also at the same time it destroys it. It's also the common way of shaving. That's the normal way of shaving. Okay. Now, if you notice that when the Gemara is explaining this prohibition of destroying using a razor, the Gemara says this point on the part of the Gemara connects the prohibition of using a razor to the corner of your beard. Correct? The Gemara just says when the Mishnah states that the prohibition is only if you use a razor, but if you do use some other instrument, so that will be if you do a shave, something similar to a razor, meaning let's say you use scissors in a way that's close to a shave, but not exactly a shave. What would be the halacha of using scissors of other instruments? Let's say using a scissor on another part on your corner of your head. Morning. As we said, there are two types of corners of the Torah has two prohibitions, one for the beard and one for the corner of the head, right? Now, is there a difference between shaving the corner of your head and shaving the corner of your beard? As you all know, if you look at Jewish people, they don't shave the corner of their head. They shave their beard with an electric shaver, but they don't shave the corner of their head. We leave what we call the peyot. Now, one of the reasons why we leave the question is, what's the difference between the corner of the head and the beard? You tell me I could shave my beard, but you don't allow me to shave. We say, as the Chafetz Chaim writes, the Chafetz Chaim says he feels very bad then that there are people that are shaving over here. They're shaving the corner of the head. And the Chafetz Chaim says that they might be violating, there are opinions that say that they're violating a biblical prohibition by shaving the corner of their head. And therefore, if they tell the people not to shave the corner of the head. And therefore, you see some people have these zero haircuts. They walk into shul with they're completely bald on the side. They don't know this concern that they know they're allowed to shave their beard, so they think they're allowed to shave their sideburns. So I'm trying to educate the people. So now the Vilna Gaon said our Gemara that we just learned is now there are opinions that say that the prohibition of shaving, the prohibition of cutting off the sideburns is only with the razor. There are those that say it's only with a razor, similar to the beard, that the prohibition is only with a razor. Our Gemara lends to the opinion that is prohibited even with the shave over here. Why does our Gemara lend to that? Because when the Mishnah made a statement, that the prohibition of using the prohibition is by using a razor. That's what the Mishnah states. It has to be a razor. But then when the Gemara clarifies, good morning, Ariel, when the Gemara explains that when the Mishnah states that the prohibition is only if you use a razor, the Gemara only connects that law for the beard. The Gemara, when it comments on the part of the Mishnah, when the Mishnah states that the violation is met when you cut only when you use a razor, the Gemara says the Gemara talks about the beard issue on it. The Gemara did not comment on the case of the side of the hair, of the corners of the head, which would seem to indicate that the corners of the head does not apply this halacha. The Gemara, when it tries to explain this law, that the prohibition is specifically if it's a razor, the Gemara only deals with the psukim on the beard. What happened to the psukim on the head? Why doesn't the Gemara tell us, regarding showing us a source for this from psukim on the head that discuss the head? So therefore, some want to say that you hear what I'm Mark? Explain. There's two prohibitions. One prohibition is here, is the corner of the head, and one prohibition is the corner of the beard. But the Gemara, like I said, if the Mishnah states the only prohibition is only using a razor. Right. Now the question is, how do we? Where is that? How do you know that? The question is, how do you know? How do you know? The question is, how do we know that I can't shave? That very good. So we'll say that's called rounding. That you rounded the head, even though you didn't use a razor, you rounded it by using a shaver. Therefore, but the question is, but the Mishnah stated the prohibition. Good morning, Morris. The Mishnah stated the prohibition is only with a razor. So do we interpret that to the case of the rounding of the head as well? When the Mishnah made a statement, right? The prohibition is only if you use a razor. The first opinion of the Mishnah stated the prohibition is only with a razor. What? So maybe I did 7 things wrong, right? Maybe I did 7 things wrong. If I did the beard with a razor. Right. There's no question. For a person who uses a razor on the sideburns, right, at the corner of the head, he's in violation. And if you use the razor on the beard, violation. Right here, right here. Again, the five corners are on the beard. The 2 corners are on the head. They're not the same corners. This is the area that could be Underneath the bone is the beard. It gets in the beard. Underneath the bone is the beard. But when you're in this area, not a question where. That's a different question, Mark. It's a great question. Where does the beard begin? Does the beard? Some say the beard begins a little lower, by the lower down, and therefore they would say that's why there are some people you'll see. Right. Right. They would say that's part of the corner of the head, and therefore some people, you'll notice, some people, good morning, will leave the sideburns. See, some people leave the sideburns. Some people leave it a little longer. Some people cut it, let's say, like in the middle. They leave the sideburns like in the middle of the ear, in the middle. If I could use Yehuda as an example, right over here, right. Some people cut. You feel like they shave up to there, up to the bone, up to that area. But there are those people that say that they don't shave that far up. They shave. They leave the corner a little bit further down, a little bit closer to the end of the ear. You'll see some people because they're concerned. Because they're concerned, like because they're concerned, because they're concerned that the beard only begins a little further down. If the beard begins a little further down, so I'm only allowed to shave. I can't, and the head corner extends further, so I can't shave that high up. Is that clear? So now there's a few different opinions exactly where does the beard begin. Now, knowing where the beard begins it has very practical ramifications, because then I could shave the beard. As long as it's the beard, I could shave it. If it's the corner of the head, I can't shave it. But I want to share with you from the Vilna Gaon is how do we know that there is a prohibition? How do we know that shaving the corner of the head is prohibited even with a shave, with a scissor, or a close cut, even though it's not a razor, right? We say that our custom is, that Shulchan Aruch says we should be concerned that there is a problem in shaving over here. We're not allowed to shave over here. Mark said because the Torah says don't round your head. So if you shave, even though you don't use a razor, that's called you rounded your head. But the question I would ask on that opinion is that the Mishnah made a statement. What was the statement of the Mishnah? The prohibition is only if you use a razor. So the question is, what does the Mishnah mean when it makes the statement, the prohibition is only when you use a razor? Does the Mishnah refer to the prohibition of shaving the beard is only when you use a razor? But shaving the corners of the head will be prohibited even without a razor? Or when the Mishnah says the prohibition is only with a razor, is referring both to the corners of the beard and the corner of the head. And if we understand the Mishnah that way, so then there would not be a problem of shaving this area with a shaver, non-razor. That's the two possibilities. The Shulchan Aruch brings both possibilities, and the Shulchan Aruch says that you should be concerned for that opinion that it's even without a razor, that there's a problem of using a shave in this area as well. Now, so the Vilna Gaon, the electric shave, but that's right. But
they make one with 5. People shave their own head.
Okay, so we say the Shulchan Aruch says we should be concerned that we shouldn't shave this area, right? Even without a razor. Now, so the Vilna Gaon wants to bring the Vilna Gaon brings a proof to this opinion that we should be concerned not to shave over here. Where is his proof from? By the fact that when the Gemara explains the law that says that the prohibition is only using a razor, but it's no problem shaving, the Gemara only focuses in on the beard regarding that law. Only the beard, the connection with the beard, did the Gemara explain this, that the prohibition is only with the razor. The Gemara did not connect this point of the Mishnah to the head, to the corners of the head, which would seem to indicate that section of the Mishnah, which says the prohibition is only with the razor, is only referring to the beard. not the other part of the head. Mark, you hear the proof? That's what the Vilna Gaon says. Okay, and then the Chafetz Chaim writes that we should be careful. We should not to use a shave over here. Right. So that's a great question. So how short? So I think many say if you could hold the hair over here, you're all right. You can hold it with your fingers. And some say it should be even longer than that. They should be able to pull the hair back to the root. The size of the hair should be enough that you could turn it back to the root. So what most people say, if you go into a barber shop and if you tell them do a number 2 is you're safe. I would say tell them number 3. That's what Rabbi Friedman says. You're safe with number 3. Try number 3. Next time you go to the barber, he puts on the screen. Tell him when it comes to the corners over here, I only want a number 3. See how it comes out. See if you like it. But there are many that if it's too much for you to handle number 3, you can do a number 2. All right? You can tell them and do a number. What? They have 2.5. So if they have 2.5, take it. Then that's better than a 2. Okay? But the rabbi's right. 2 is good. But I'm not. Okay. Back in the Gemara. Good morning, Yosef. Good morning, Yosef.
Good morning, Rabbi.
So now let's see the next opinion in the Gemara. We are on 21a2, the right column. Rabbi Eliezer Omer. Rabbi Eliezer says, good morning, Jay. Afilu v'tov b'malkei feretini chayav. Rabbi Eliezer says, even if you use this type of a tweezer, some say it's tweezers, or you use some translate the retini as a sounds like an Italian word. Retini. You use the plane that used to smooth out wood, and you did that against your beard. He says that you are chayav, even if it's not a razor, even if it's an instrument that's not generally used to cut, which we would say is not used to cut your beard. So the Gemara wants to understand why is he? Let's use the translation of a tweezer. Right. The Tanakama says. Right, if it's not the way to shave, it's not a problem. The Tanakama says. This opinion says that even a tweezer is a problem. You can't pull out your hair with a tweezer on your beard. So the Gemara wants to understand what is the explanation of Rabbi Eliezer? Manuvshav. What are you saying? What do you mean to say? If he learns the Gzeira Shaveh, where it connects the two psukim, when it talks about the corner of the beard, and one is written by the Kohanim, and one's written by the Israel, and the laws apply equally by everybody, that the Torah is forbidding specifically, it has to have 2 conditions have to be met, because it has to be a shave, and it has to be a destruction of the beard. So he should require a razor, because even though the tweezer pulls out the hair and destroys the hair from the root, but it's not the normal way that people shave. And so even if he does not hold to the Gzeira Shaveh, misparayim namilo, scissors should also not be permitted. He's very specific. Rabbi Eliezer adds to the list. The Tanakama says you can't use a razor on your beard. That's what Tanakama says. Tweezers on your beard, no problem. Scissors on your beard, no problem. Which we call electric shaver on your beard, no problem, according to, right? But that's the problem, only a razor. Comes Rabbi Eliezer and he adds to the list. He says not only is a razor a problem, he says also tweezers are a problem. So the Gemara wants to know, why is he adding tweezers to the list? If he's adding tweezers to the list, why doesn't he also add scissors to the list? If he holds that I don't agree with the Gzeira Shaveh, I don't apply the law that says over here to over there, and therefore there is a prohibition to shave, to cut off your hair. If there's a prohibition to cut your beard, so why are you only saying that it has to do with a tweezer? It should be scissors also. So the Gemara wants to understand, why does Rabbi Eliezer say the prohibition on the beard would extend to a tweezer in addition to a razor, but not to scissors. Either the Gemara wants to understand either if you hold that when the Torah talks about destruction, Torah talks about two ideas. Tweezer destroy it knocks out the hair from the root, but it doesn't. But it's not the normal shave. So, meaning the Tanakama said the first opinion says two conditions have to be met: it has to be a normal shave, and it has to be rooted from the root. And Rabbi Eliezer is saying something in the middle. He's saying it's the rooted, but it doesn't have to be. But it seems like it doesn't have. It's not the normal way of ruining the hair. So therefore, why should there be? And if you so why is he saying this idea that it's limited to a tweezer? So the Gemara says, "Olam gam gzeira shava." He really learns the gzeira shava, and because he learns the gzeira shava, so therefore the law, when it comes to a beard, the Torah is saying there are two conditions that have to be met. It has to be destroying the hair from the root, and also has to be the way that people shave. And therefore, since it has to be both conditions, so you would think only a razor should fulfill both conditions. The scissor does not fulfill those conditions, right? The scissor doesn't ruin it from the root. The scissor leaves a little stubble, whatever you call it. And therefore, he agrees, that's why he holds the scissor is not a problem. So why does he hold, but why does he hold the problem with a tweezer, right? That's the Gemara. So the Gemara says, "Uksava hani nami giluach avdi." He says these also are also considered shaving. They are also considered things that the people will shave would you could call a shave. So if you look at the Rashi, so what does Rashi say? Rashi say that the destruction that's being done with pulling out the hairs from the root, it's also considered you're making a shave. It's Rashi calls it normal. This is a thing that people would, if let's say a person is stuck, and I don't have it would sound like if a person doesn't have a shaver, I'm stuck. A guy doesn't have a razor. The common way to shave is to cut down to the root. So therefore, it would have to be something that gets down to the root. So the Gemara has to destroy. But if a person will not have some other instrument, the common instrument, like which is a knife, a razor to destroy the beard, so if he needs to get out the hairs, so he'll use some other instrument. If he has an instrument, he says, I got the tweezers. I got to get the hair out. And the tweezers seems to be a type of instrument that people would use if they would be stuck. They don't have the proper instrument to go ahead, and they don't have a knife. I'm stuck. That's what a person, that would be called a giluach, that it's called a shave. So therefore, because it's called a shave, that would be prohibited. So the other opinion says that's not it, that you wouldn't identify using see, the question is cutting out your hairs, pulling out your hairs with a tweezer. Would that be identified as a shave? Does it fulfill when the Torah says you can't shave and destroy your beard? What is called shaving? We know, everyone knows what's called destroying the hair. If you use a knife, a blade against your head, you destroy. If you pick out your hairs with a tweezer, you also destroy. If you use this plane that's used to smooth out the wood and you smooth out your face, you also destroy. But the question is that called, did you do a shave? Is that called you shaved yourself when you use this type of instrument? So the Tanakama says he doesn't call that shaving. That's not the normal type of, but the second opinion says that it would seem that people, if you're stuck and you don't have, but is that called a shave? The fact that the results end up the same might not necessarily mean that it's called a shave. So that seems to be the dispute between the two opinions. One opinion says, do you think that's not called a shave? You don't call that a shave. That's not It's not the common way that people will shave, and we can't identify that you shaved yourself. You plucked your hairs out with a tweezer. The other opinion somehow calls this a shave. The bottom line, it was done. You affected, your hair is now smooth. Your beard is smooth. You did a shave. The results are the same. So he holds that would be considered a problem. Okay, why don't we're back. We're going to start a new Mishnah tomorrow, everybody. We're going to get into tattoos tomorrow, everybody. All the best. Let's stay away from them. Have a great day. Take care. You too.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Have a great day, Yosef. Ralph, good to see you. Morris, all the best. Have a great